Let's take a look at basic utilities, and I'll just be kind of highlighting certain ones out of the chapter. We'll cover everything. You can read the chapter to see to read more about the different utilities and see some of them I won't cover. I'm going to flip back and forth between my PowerPoint here and that. The first one we're going to take a look at is ls. Now, I remember where it's at, accessories. If we go to application, accessories, terminal, ls will list whatever files are there. ls-l is a useful one because not only lists the files, but you can see the different security that's associated with it. And of course, we haven't talked about this yet, but the R stands for read, W for write, and X for execute. You can see the user it belongs to, though everything will belong to the one we're working with here. The size of the file, date, so forth. So ls-l is useful. I think there's another way to do a long listing besides the -l, but that's the one I've used mainly in the past. So ls, again, just lists your files. If you do capital ls, you'll get an error. Again, it has to be the lowercase. And I probably wish that I'd loaded up the PowerPoint here. I think you can open that up with the Office here. Libre. Which one is it? Probably Libre Impress if I had to guess. Try that again. Cat. Displays a text file. Okay, so we got a file here. We got the phone. If I do cat space phone, that lists the file. Well, I was trying to get something more useful than that. Let me. I'm gonna go edit the file using a program. Not sure how you say this. Pico. And then the file name. It's a text-based editor. It isn't on every system, so there's another one called Vi. Let's see, blue, red, yellow, blue eyes, blue cat, red dog. In some kind of Dr. Seuss book. Okay, and 316 again. Okay, now you see down there at the bottom it says write out, little caret O, that's Control O, and when it pops up, comes up file name write, you just press enter. And then the two that I use mainly is that one, and then this, see the caret X, Control X, exits you out. Okay, now if I do a cat phone, you see we have something a little bit more to see than just one line. Now that displays a text file. To remove a file, it's RM. So if I come over here and let's see, ls. I'm just going to, well, let me create a new one. New file. Dear Mom, everything is going well at Camp Granada. Hopefully I got that name right. I don't think I did. So that was a song way back when. Okay, Control O to save it, and Control X to exit. Now do ls to see it. And you see you got a new file there. Now if I do rm space new file, you're going to see there's no prompt there. Now there are different ways of doing the RM, such you can see prompts, but RM just by itself will just remove it, which can be dangerous because if you use some wildcards and so forth, you can clean out the entire directory by accident. Which is the beauty of this. You can play on this system all you want because it's a VMware appliance, and then you can unzip it again. And now if I do ls, you see it's gone. Now, see, these are the basic commands you should feel comfortable with. If you're going into the computer area, you'll be working with Linux servers. these should come naturally to you. Now, to remember all the flags that go along with that, what am I looking at? RM. Well, that's not so much. Force, ignore non-existent files, never prompt. I, prompt before every removal. So if you do the lowercase I, then that'll prompt you. Prompt once before removing more than 3 files. That's kind of nice. If you issue a raw RM command and you're going to delete 500 files and you only meant to delete 1 file, I guess that'll give you a prompt. And removes directories and their contents recursively. That can be dangerous. But verbose, explain what's being done, help, so forth. And I'll do a Q to quit. Remember that man brings up the manual for that, the man page. Okay, RM. Now less displays a text file one screen at a time, space for next page, Q for quit, and at the end of the file you get in message and have to Q to quit. So let's take a look at that. Man RM testing. Okay, now I created a file. Don't worry about that greater than. That just basically redirected. I see cat testing.txt. I got everything that was in the man page. Okay, so let's talk about that utility now. Less displays a text file one screen at a time. So less no memory. What did I call that? Testing.txt. So less testing.txt. Brings up a page, and remember what this says. Space for the next page, Q for quit, and at the end of the file you get an in message and have to Q to quit. So space goes like that. And then at any time you can do Q for quit. Now you may be sitting there thinking, well, that's not very useful. That's not much different than just the man command itself. There's different times when you'd want to do some of these. Now, I don't think, did I have it on there? Is there more? Oh, I do have it on here, more. Had on next page. If you do more, testing.txt, it works similar. More displays text file one screen at a time, space for next page, Q for quit, and into the file automatically exits out. So, again, I do a space bar and it brings it up, and Q for quit at any time. If you're wondering some of the different options for more, if I do a man space more, and do a space, these are the different things. More will prompt the user with a message. Okay, L, more, okay, causes more to count. Do not scroll, squeeze multiple blank lines into one, suppress underlining. H within there. It says Z. Displays next K lines of text. Defaults current size. Return displays next K lines of text. Now, I think K. I'm not sure how you said K. I don't use it that much. Usually I look at it page by page, not skipping down a few lines. Now let's play it and see a little bit. Okay, more testing.txt. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Let me try that again. More. H for help. Okay. Displays next K lines of text. Okay, K is just the automatic setting on it. Z returns next K lines of text. Current screen size. Return. D. Scroll K lines. Okay, current scroll size initial 11. Q exits. S skip forward. S K lines. I wonder if you can actually put in a value there. Let me see. Nope, S just goes forward like that. Anyway, you can play with that and see. you'll find that even though these have tons of features, you won't use the majority of them. And if you waste your time trying to memorize all of them, there's a lot more useful things you can focus your energy on. Because you'll find, unless your whole purpose is to administer Linux servers, you don't need to know all that. Now, if your whole purpose is to administer them, then maybe you do need to know quite a few of them. Let's see. Move, or wait a minute. Host name. Displays the system name. Go. Host name. Ubuntu. That's my host name there. Not very exciting. CP. Copies a file. Okay. Got our phone file, or testing. If I do cp space testing.txt, testing2, .txt. Now if I press enter, if I do an ls, you'll now see two files, because it copied that. So that's how you copy a file. And as you might suspect, cp, I don't know if I can do a -- help on that. Let me try it. Now, if you're wondering where's the more come into play, we haven't covered this yet, but I do cp -- help, and I can do this little symbol here. This is our pipe symbol. I'm not sure if I need a space there or not, and do a more. That'll pipe it into that. So it'll take the results of cp help, cp -- help, and it'll redirect it into the more utility. Now when it comes up, it'll go a page at a time. This is where you use more usually. Now that isn't saying that somebody who, like I say, has a job that's very intense on Linux won't do more with it, but but the average person just redirects something, and you can see the different prompts, or different parameters, I should say, flags. Copy directories recursively. Symbolic links. We'll talk about symbolic links later on. Anyway, the different things you can do, and Q takes you out of it. MV changes the name of the file. We tend to think it is move, but it actually changes the name of the file. For example, if I have ls and where's testing2.txt. Excuse me. I'll do a move testing2.txt, and I'll do testing3.txt. Now if I do an ls, you see that testing2.txt is now gone, and we now have a testing3.txt. Now if I do a cp and do a e. Now I haven't typed everything I want, but if I press tab, you notice it does a completion for you. Now if you have multiple things that start with the same letter, you know, like capital D. Now if I press tab, see how it lists those, and if I have enough so it can identify what to put in there, like desktop. If I put DE and then tab, you notice how it fills it in. So that's kind of nice. If you don't know the exact name, instead of doing ls and trying to remember what it is, you can just type in the first few letters that uniquely identifies it and press your tab. You're having the book open while I'm doing this to make sure I'm kind of touching upon different things it talks about. Oh, printing a file. Now LP stat space -p displays a list of available printers. LP stat -p. You see, I got tells us no destinations added. I don't have any printers set up. To be honest, I've never set up a printer on Linux. So I couldn't tell you. That's more of the administrators that did that. I approached working with Linux from a programmer standpoint, or Linux/Unix. I would write Perl programs, a little bit of PHP. Might write some scripts to do various functions, but our administrators are the ones who kind of did the networking side and so forth. So definitely not my area of expertise. Now LPR prints a file, LPR report, and of course I don't have a printer set up, but if I did LPR and testing.txt, that would print it. Now it prints to your default printer when you do that. I won't issue that. I'll probably get some kind of error or something. LPQ shows jobs are in a print queue. Of course, this will probably tell me no default destination available because I don't have a printer set up. I'm not even quite sure how you would redirect a printer through this virtual appliance. grep searches for a string. You see how it's got grep credit space memo, and you can do a -w, only match whole words. Let me see if I have no memory. What did I do? Blue. Okay. So if I do grep space, and then I think it was single quotes, wasn't it? Single quotes. Blue, and then put in phone. See how it returns just the lines that have blue in them. This is kind of a nice feature. grep is very powerful. These utilities, as we're looking at them, seem like very basic. It's like, well, that's nice, but the true power of it was when you start combining these all together, and you're grepping through a bunch of files. You're grepping through every file in your system, looking for these keywords. Now we can also, I'm going to do my up arrow here to bring up the previous entry. I can do a greater than to redirect this to a new file. And now if I do a cat space new file, see that I've stored all the results in there. You can also do my up arrow twice. Instead of doing a greater than, which redirects it, you can do the pipe symbol, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, and redirect it to your more. And of course we don't got a page, even a page full here, so that's why it didn't go into the utility. But if we had 10 pages worth of information, you'd want to redirect it to someplace where you could cycle through it, pressing your space bar to go page by page. Okay. Head displays the beginning of the file. Example, head-5 test.txt displays the first 5 lines. So if I do head-5 of, which one was my big one? Testing, I think. Testing.txt. That shows the first 5 lines of testing.txt. And again, with this, you can redirect it. You can send it to a new file, to a utility. There's a lot of different options there. Now if I do head-10 testing.txt, it'll list the first 10 lines. So why is this useful? I don't think I've ever written a script using this, but you could write a Linux script where you retrieve the first line. Maybe that's a log file, and the last line you want to see if it ran or not, and it puts a date in there. So this is a very easy way to strip off one line, because if you do head-1 testing.txt, that would give you your first line. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let me do a pico, however you say that, the log file.txt. Maybe this records off the last time it run, and 2013, 01/03 2013. I did a Control O there, and I'm going to do a Control X. Okay, and now if I do head-1 logfile.txt, it'll retrieve the first line. So that'll tell me the last time it ran. Now there's another utility, tail. I think that's on the next page here. Yeah. Displays the end of the file. Same reasoning. If you want to just look at the end of the line, into the file for some reason, you just type tail. As soon as I click in here, tail-20 of testing.txt. That'll show you your last 20 lines in the file. You can do tail-1 of logfile.txt. So now I say that you could use those, but I've never really have used head and tail. A lot of these are, they provide a lot of utilities, a lot of power. But if you're going to programming, there's just some very basic ones to use. So don't get overwhelmed by this. Now, if your goal is to be a network engineer, specifically want to work with Linux servers, then you probably want to get really good with all this. Sort displays a file in order. Sort test.txt sorts test.txt, but does not change the original file. So if I come over here, let's see, cat. World was my file names. Okay, cat phone. If I had a memory, it'd be fantastic. There's our phone. If I do sort phone, see how it sorts it? Now sometimes it sorts it. It's not quite like you think. If you've ever done any programming, you know what I'm referring to there. Sometimes the way things sort are based upon not the way you view it, but like what's less than and what's greater than it is where they're arranged in the ASCII table. Now we haven't changed phone by doing that. If I do a cat phone, you see we got the original file here. I think this will allow me to do this. If not, I'll have to put it under a different name and then copy it. But let me sort phone and then do a greater than phone. Now, that screwed up. Okay. This is a nice part. You just play with this and all you want. And Sam, Bill, David, Henry, Ann. There we go. Now do a Control-O, save it, and Control-X. So I could do sort phone and redirect that to phone 2, and then I could copy phone 2 to phone, then cat phone, and then you see it sorts the file. So these are the things you play with. Now you notice I destroyed my file, didn't I? You definitely don't want to do this with production files because all of a sudden you've destroyed it. Before when you're testing any kind of script, if you're doing some script programming, copy that file over as another name and play with that copy. Because here we're working with a VMware appliance, which is fantastic. We can't screw anything up as we just unzip it and we're up and running again. But in a production environment, you don't have that. Let's see. Unique removes duplicate lines from the file. So let's look at that. Pico phone. I've been told how to say that, by the way. I just have no memory and I don't remember. Okay. Bill. I'll do a Control-O to save it. Control-X. Oops. I meant to do a Control-X, but FG to return nano. There we go. Control X. I don't know what I did a Control Z. I meant to do a Control X. It was still running, in case you're wondering, which we'll use that later on. But notice how it says it tells you what to do to return back to it. And now that kind of blew my mind what I was doing. What did I change to it? Okay, I've added 3 bills. So unique, and then phone, like that. You notice the duplicate lines are gone. Sometimes what you can do, and I'm not on my scripting. I usually have to play with this, and I'm kind of winging it here. If we wanted to look at this, like if we do Pico phone, And I'll come down here and add in bill. Control O, Control X. If I do unique phone, notice how I have two bills. See, this is assuming that they're sorted first. So the question is whether we can take our sort command and we sort our phone, and then we'll redirect it into the unique, like this. So let's see if this works. If this works, then we should only get one bill. Like I say, sometimes I have to do a greater than and save it to a file, and then you do a unique on the file, and that actually worked. So then I could take this unique, and then I could redirect it into phone 2. See, this is where your power comes in. I'm not some kind of Linux genius. Definitely not. You just play and you learn. You redirect it here. You pipe it into here. You do a greater than. The pipe then just sends it to another program, to another utility. The greater than creates a file, or it can concatenate onto a file, add on to the end of the file. Okay, so now if I do cat phone 2, I see there's my sorted list with getting rid of duplicates. Okay, that's unique. Difference compares two files. Difference color1.txt, color2.txt, and tells you what the difference is between them. And I'm going to use the example out of the book. So let me create some files here. Colors.1, colors.2. Actually, I'm not sure if it tells what's in them. Oh well. Let me just come up with my own example then. Colors.1. Red, blue, yellow, black. One thing I'm not quite sure about is if this needs to be sorted. Red, blue, black. Okay. Pico colors.2. Red, blue, black. Okay. And I'm doing Control O again and Control X. So Control O to save it, Control X to exit. Difference and let's see, dash U, colors.1, colors.2. And you can see there it tells us they have a red, blue, and black in common. The yellow has a dash before it. So question is about the order. Colors.2, because that's the part I wasn't sure about. Put black up here instead of down here. And when I get down here, I'm pressing my delete key. Now Control O and Control X. And I'm going to do an up arrow twice to bring up that, and then I'll press enter again. And see, by rearranging it, it didn't recognize it. So it looks like they should be in the same order for the difference. Let's see, difference. Difference dash U is a little more user friendly. By the way, difference dash U is a little bit more user friendly. I'm bringing up my up arrow. Come on over here, press delete, and the difference there. And you can see this greater than and this less than refers to the different files. So it tells you which one has yellow, which one has black. So like if I do a cat colors.1, notice how this one had the yellow in it, and it had the black here. So this less than is telling us that the colors.1 has these where the other one didn't. This greater than is telling us the second one had black in it where the first one didn't. So again, not very user friendly when you're looking at this, but if you're trying to write a program where you need to take this information and redirect it and pick it apart and so forth, this may be the one you want. You don't want the user friendly. User friendly is somebody sitting there running it and doing it by hand. That the difference is kind of a nice utility. It allows you to see if there's maybe any changes have happened to the file. You can see that it's been saved, that the date is different, but you're wondering what's changed exactly. File identifies the contents of a file. Let's look at that one. Okay, file, new file. And by the way, when I'm doing that, I'm doing the backspace. New file.txt. Now, on some Unix systems, Linux systems, you had to program into backspace. I've been on some where the backspace didn't work, drove me nuts. And some of them are pretty obvious how to configure it for the backspace, and some are not so obvious. Now, you notice here when I do a file, new file.txt, it tells me it's ASCII text. Let me do a file documents. Now notice this tells us it's a directory. Directory is where we have some files at, or possibly have some files. Pipe symbol communicates between processes, and I've shown you that. And he's just where you can. Here we're searching through, for bin in the file test.txt, and then we're taking the results of that command, and we're redirecting it into the sort. So then it'll sort it. Here we're taking the sort months. And months presumably is a file. I don't think it's a Linux command. Let me see here. Nope. So we're sorting this file, and we're piping it in to our utility, the head utility, which then does a -4 just through the first 4 lines. Now here we're doing ls, and we're piping that in, redirecting that to the WC utility. Now WC-W counts the number of words. So ls, and then this was a word count, WC. No memory. If I had a memory, that would be fantastic. So there's 17 there. That's if I did 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Sure enough, there's 17 words. Again, some of these don't seem very obvious, but what they've tried to do is provide you a suite of tools that handle kind of any kind of a circumstance that pops up. Echo text, or test. Well, echo, this is a test. Real exciting, just prints it to the screen. Now if I do an up arrow, and I can do a greater than, and call this testing4.txt. Now that takes that, and then that writes it to that file. So now if I do a cat testing4.txt, you see it has that in there. So that's a very nice way to create a file with whatever you want in it. There's other ways. Echo, this is a test, testing5.txt. Now if I do a cat testing5.txt, you can see how whether you have double quotes or single quote, it works the same way for your echo. Now that doesn't seem like that's very useful. It's just like, well, that's nice, but you have to hard code it. In programming, if you're programming a shell script and you want to write out a log file and you want to say what's happening, this is later on in the course, but if I have a script, not very good at names, and it does a lot of different things. You know, I take my ls greater than the file.txt, enter, and then I'm going to sort the file.txt and redirect it in to the file2.txt. Okay, so I've written a bunch of different Unix commands in here, and this is going to be a shell script. And if we could fire this off so it'd run every night at midnight. and it would go through and run this. Well, maybe we want to create a log file. So up here, log file. Log file.txt. So we're, you notice a different coloring. That's kind of cool, actually. I don't think all systems do this. Ubuntu though does though. So that creates the file, and then if I do cat, or actually I used echo, didn't I? I wonder if this will actually work. ls command run log file.txt. Let's try this and see. Of course, that's assuming I remember the command to change the security. That'll be questionable. ls-l. Okay, change mod 755. What did I call it? Script.sh. Okay, ls-l. Okay. Script.sh. No such script error. What was it? Oh, I should put an echo right there. Yeah, I never get these right the first time. Echo. And Control O. And Control X. Okay. I'm going to do up arrow there. SH, in case you're running, runs the script. The change mod I did up earlier, that's later on in the course, but that changed it so I could run it. Press enter, and now ls. By the way, if I don't put a space there, if I just do ls-l, see what I get. Have to do ls space -l. And I thought I had a log file. There it is. Cat log file.txt. Now you see that it created my log file and told me where it was running in it. So that's kind of nice. In case you're wondering, cat script.sh. When you do an echo and then you do a greater than, this will create the file log file.txt. If you do greater than, it concatenates it on at the end. So you can keep putting echoes so you know where it's at in the script file you just ran. That may not mean a whole lot now. I don't get overly overwhelmed by it. Like I say, the more you work with it, the more this will come natural. Greater than sends output somewhere. That's real vague, isn't it? Because you don't have to send it to a file, which we'll see later on. See, echo hello greater than testing.txt sends the letters hello to a file. Date displays the time and date. So I got a date like that. If I do date and I wonder if this will work. Greater than. Let's see if it does. Log file.txt. I think I'm actually have to do probably a cat. I might be wrong. Let's see. Cat. I was wrong. You can just do a date greater than log file.txt. And see, these are the things when you're developing a shell script, you have to just play with and take it step by step, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then it's probably a different command you have to do. Now you notice the date, the way it came up. There's different dates you can have. -- help. Tons of ways you can do it, and this tells you the usage on it. You do your options here, and then your format. Now, is this very clear on how to do it exactly? Not really. A lot of times what I'll do is if I'm trying to figure out how to do something, I'll go Google it. That's your best friend. I'll type in Linux, I'll type in date, and then I'll type in examples. Let me show you. No company in the world wants you to spend an hour or 2 hours trying to I forgot about that. Trend Sigma. They have a bunch of different appliances here, but no company wants you to reinvent the wheel yourself. Costs them money. They'd rather you go out and 5 minutes have it versus spending 2 hours on it. Now that's kind of weird, because most times, at least in education, you're told don't steal. Don't take somebody else's work. You get out in the real world, they want you to. Don't spend a whole lot of time yourself doing it. Linux date examples. And I could even type format, I guess, comes up. Format examples. Go down to that one. That looks pretty good. Now, sometimes people just put ones out here that aren't very good. Hopefully I don't bring up a improper site and I have to redo this. See here, tells you date. Date-u. Here's a way you can do the date. I don't know if this will let me edit copy. Let's try that. Come up here. Oops. I right-clicked on it. Okay, I'll copy that. Let me come over to my window here and come down to the bottom here. Edit. What do you know? Instead of me sitting here for 15 minutes trying to figure out how in the world to set that up, I now have it. If that's the format I want, then I'm set. I can take that and I could redirect that on the end of my log file. And maybe have a little bit more user-friendly date format on it. So again, don't be afraid to go to the internet. And it's a fantastic way to learn too, because then you can see this and see how to set it up. There we go. Script records a shell session, and then quits the script session. So script and then exit. So if I do a script, file started, file is TypeScript, and then let's see, ls cat phone ls and exit. See how we have a TypeScript here? Let's see what's in that file. Guess that's where it started. Okay, script started, so it tells you data started. Tells you the command you did. We did ls, and then it shows you the result. Remember, I did a cat phone. Then it shows us the result. And I did another ls, and it shows us the result. And then I did an exit, and then it exited out. So again, if you're wanting to keep a file of everything you're doing and the results, this is a very useful utility. 2DOS. That's kind of old. Disk operating system. Before Windows, that's what they had. This converts Linux and Macintosh files to Windows format, and there's an example. 2DOS memo.txt. From DOS converts Windows files to Linux. Example. From DOS space memo.txt. Now, if you have some FTP systems, and this is not so true anymore, but some of them used to be kind of cryptic. How you do it? You transfer files back and forth from your Windows machine to your Linux machine. Instead of them being on separate lines, like this one. What was my script called? Script.sh. See how these are all in separate lines? When you'd file transferred over to Windows, they would all be on one line, which is a nightmare to work with. So some of these utilities they provide allow you to convert it back and forth. Well, if you're working with some kind of FTP package that has the feature of you can automatically do the conversion right there. Excuse me. Now there's bzip2. This compresses a file. Grab a drink here. There we go. And compresses makes smaller. So let's take a look at that. bzip2. Let's see. Do I got a big file? ls-l testing.txt. Notice the format of this. I did ls-l, which I've been doing over and over, but now I put, instead of just doing enter, I put it in the file name. And what it'll do is it'll find just that file. Okay. You can also do wildcards on this. T star. And see, it brings up every file with starts with T. The asterisk there, that's your wildcard. So you can use that to help you find files. Okay. ls-l testing. Now remember, I start doing that, and then I press tab. And you press tab again, it brings up all the different ones so you can see which ones. Got that. bzip2 testing.txt. ls-l, and I'll do testing star. Now notice we have a new file there, testing.txt.bz2. And look at the size. Well, I think testing through, well, what was our original one? I got it up here. There it is. Yeah, it was the same as testing 3. See how they were 3793 and that's 1701. Now, let's go ahead and Pico this file. Ooh, that's not good. It's not readable anymore, is it? So it compressed it and made it to the point where you can't read it. Of course, you don't want to do this with a file you're going to use on a day-to-day basis, but this is something maybe we're shrinking it down so we can send it to somebody, as an example. And this tells you -v shows verbose, -k keeps the original file. Notice how our testing.txt disappeared, didn't it? So if you want to keep it, then you do -k. Now to decompress the file, bunzip2. So if I come over here, actually it might be better if I do a bzcat, displays a compressed file. bzcat testing.txt.bz2, and that shows the file that we had. Of course, you know, if you wanted to put this somewhere else, you could do a greater than and write it to testing4.txt. So again, if you didn't want to uncompress it, you just wanted to see what was in it and then redirect it to another file so you could play with that, then you can. And was it bunzip2? bunzip2. So to ls testing asterisk. So I'll do unzip2 testing.txt.bz2. Now if I do ls testing, you see my testing.txt is back. And if I do a cat testing.txt, you see the original files there. So that's how you can compress it and decompress it. Now gzip, this compresses a file. Now, this is an older utility. Example, you can do gzip hello.txt. So gzip and what was that? Testing.txt. ls testing star. You see my testing.txt is gone, but I got a testing.txt.gz, and of course, as you might suspect, you can't view it. Not with like Pico. To display the compressed file, you see we got zcat. So if I come back here, I do zcat testing.txt.gz, and it viewed the file. ls testing asterisk. Again, asterisks are wildcard. When you start getting a lot of files, that becomes very useful. And I think one of the chapters has a lot more about wildcards in them. gunzip decompresses a file. gunzip testing.txt.gz. Now if I do ls testing star, you see testing.txt is back. scratch my back. Excuse me. Okay. Lots of utilities. Very important chapter, actually. A lot of them are very important. There's a tar. This packs and unpacks archives. Example: tar-cvf, and then all.tar, a.txt, b.txt, c.txt. If you're familiar with the zip files, this is a similar concept. So this is going to take these three files and put it into one file, basically. And you see the C creates, V verbose, -F, right, to a read from a file. So let's do this. CVF, tar.cvf, and I'm going to put in the testing.txt. I'll put in testing3.txt and testing5.txt. So it's going to take the, oops, I forgot to put my tar name. Big file.tar. Testing.txt, testing3.txt, testing5.txt. And having an example is invaluable, because again, I don't remember the exact format myself. If I hadn't looked at this first, I'd be lying to you to say I remembered the exact format of it. Kind of makes sense when you think of it. And if I press enter, let me do ls testing first. Now you see I got my files there. So I got my original files. I didn't delete them. Let me do ls big. You see I got my big file.tar here. So it took those and put it into a compressed, I'm thinking Windows, put it in a tar file. Okay. Now that's a file. If you got 100 files you need to send to somebody, you can put them all into an archive, into a tar file, and then send it to them. Now we had CVF. C was for create, and then now we got T, TVF. T shows what is in the tar file. So let's look at that. So tar-tvf big file.tar. Now notice it tells us the three files. It doesn't list all the files, just tells us which ones are in there. Tells us their security, user, size, all the relevant information you might want. Now let me do a tar-t big file.tar. See how when you leave part of it off, tar-tv big file.tar. Stop that. Dash T there. There we go. Sometimes when you leave off the command, it'll look like it does nothing. Actually, sometimes it's sitting there waiting for you to issue a command. If you leave off some of them, then it'll come back and tell you. Like V is for verbose, so it doesn't show all the detailed information. It shows the files. I don't think you can put -F by itself. These are good. Some of these, because I think this is might be the previous chapter where we kill some items. Let me see if that's true. Oh, yeah, I won't waste time to look for that now. Now here we got -CVF and got an asterisk. You can probably guess what this is going to do. This is going to take all the files and put it into a tar file, to an archive. So do tar-cvf, and then the big one. and then I'll do an asterisk. And did I create? Okay. Got the command right. Let me see. Do ls. Yeah, I did. Okay. Now, by doing that, the V, I think that's what showed these. But these are all in here now. Now, if I do an ls-l asterisk.tar, that shows you everything that ends with tar. You can see the size of the file. I expect it to be bigger than that, but I guess I don't have many files. Now to extract it, you see the -xvf. Let me remove testing asterisk. This should remove all my testing. Now again, asterisk is not only used in ls, it's a wildcard for here too. Now if I do ls testing, you see they're gone. So tar-xvf was it, I think? X for extract, yeah. And now if I say big file.tar, if I do ls testing, see my files are back. So that's how you extract it. Now, as a programmer, I didn't have to do that much with tar files or compressed files and so forth. Mainly, I would download something from the web or copy it over from a server that was compressed, and sometimes it was compressed and it was put into a tar file, into an archive. So I'd have to unarchive it, and then I'd have to uncompress them. So that I'd have to go and refresh my memory on how to do it, because I'd forget it each time. I didn't do it enough to actually know. I don't know if I could probably find any. I doubt it, but let me see. Go to Google, our best friend, and tar file. Oh, directory. I don't want to find one. I want to find a tar file. Okay, well, none there. You can see they have their security real tight wherever this is at. Duke. What are the odds I'm going to actually find a tar file? Probably not very good. Index of. That'll help me. Tar file and index of. There we go. That'll work. And again, I'm kind of winging it here. Here's a file. You see this particular one here has GZ extension on it, and then a tar also. Well, I should be able to click it, and it'll probably ask me to save it somewhere. So let's click Save File. Click OK. Okay, it's going to Downloads. I'm not familiar enough with Firefox to know from what in the world I'm doing. Open containing the folder. Okay, there we go. Got it in our folder. So it's in a downloads folder. So I'm going to right click on this, say copy. Where am I working at? My user. User. Come here, do a new folder, create folder. Testing. Go to that folder, do an edit paste. Okay, so we got that in that folder. well, if I can find where my shell script is, there it is. If I come here, I'm going to see a testing folder. We haven't covered this yet, but cd space testing will change that folder. Now if I do an ls, I see that file there. Okay, so I see the gz. So with my poor memory, I have to go and look and cheat and refresh my memory. And what in the world, gz? Okay. GZ is probably this one. I think the other one was BZ. So G unzip. So we want to do a G unzip first. So I do a G unzip. Perl-5.6.1.tar.gz. Hopefully this works. Okay, then we got our tar file. And I think it was tar-xvf, if I remember correctly. Perl-5.6.1.tar. And now I see, I have a folder there. If I do cd perl, change to it, I have a lot of files. So this is, from a programming standpoint, this is where I would have to use it. I would download a file, and I think I went too far. Where am I at? Oh no, I didn't go too far. I would download a file, and then I'd have to maybe uncompress it, and then maybe extract it. And if you want to play with it, like I say, you're on a VMware appliance. You can't screw anything up. You can do a similar search to what I did. What I looked at is if you're going to find out just raw files. It's kind of like a directory listing. You just search for index of. And looks like I closed that down. But I just went to Google and I did index of and I put tar in there. So, and hoped I came up with something valid. Sometimes there's corrupt files out there and so forth. But, okay, enough about that. Okay, so more utilities. Let me grab a drink here. Now, which. This locates utilities by displaying the full path name of the file for utility. Which ls. So, which ls. Tells us it's in this location. Bin ls. If I come up here and go to my places, and you can click any one of these actually. Let me go to home folder. You see over here, there's one called File System. If I click File System, you see there's a bin, and if I click bin, this tells us the location of it. So if I come over here, if I scroll down, I should see an ls. So you see that right there. I could right-click on that and see the properties of it. Tells me it's executable. It's a program. It's a little utility we ran. Let's see, permissions. Who has? I'm not used to this. I'm used to seeing a RWX over in the. I'm not a big GUI person on Linux. I like to be over here. This is where I'm more comfortable. I could do a cd space and then do a /bin/ls change or bin to change that directory. No, I'm not going to change it. We're not to that part of the course yet. Where is searches for files related to a utility by looking at standard locations instead of using your search path. By the way, one of the there isn't a whole lot of viruses and worms and malware that attack Linux, but one of them that they do is they create a new program called ls, and they'll put it into your search path. So when you type when you run ls, it doesn't run the system one that comes with the Ubuntu or whatever Linux version you have, but it runs their modified version. Let me show you. And sometimes it'll let me do this, sometimes not. Pico ls. and echo, I just deleted your system. Now, instead of doing that, I could do RM and then, star here with appropriate flags and so forth. But okay. Now I'm going to do a change mod space 755 to make sure I can run this. Now the problem with this is a shell script. So if I type ls, see it actually does that. But if I do shls, see how it pops up that I just deleted your system. Now later on in the course we'll see can you set this up so that you don't have to do that sh. But this showed you that it ran that instead of running the one I thought it should. Now if I remove that one I just created and do shls, see how it gives me can't open ls? And we'll get into that more. Don't worry about it now. I'm just that was kind of useless trivia I wanted to give you. Okay, where is ls? And tells you here, and tells us also that it's in this file name. Now, by looking at this, you should be able to tell something about it. GZ, that should tell you something. It's compressed, isn't it? And we'd use gunzip to uncompress it. Now, there's different utilities, by the way, for compressing. I'll learn to speak someday. Don't think that what you're seeing here is everything. If I go to Linux, compression, tools, and 8 utilities tested. We just looked at 2 of them, didn't we? Assuming I can actually scroll down. RAR, performance there. bzip2, lbzip2. I couldn't tell you what all these are, by the way. These are some utilities people have written. And most cases they're free. 7-zip. Wouldn't surprise me if it didn't support Windows zip files too. It's been a while, I think, but if I remember correctly, there is a way to do that. Of course, who knows my memory? mlocate searches for a file. I think you kind of get the idea. Now, who lists the users on the system? This is going to be boring since it's just us. But if I was on a server, assuming you have the rights, and you can see that. Who am I? Shows which terminal you're using. Who am I? Shows you that. Finger lists users on the system. And I thought you had to type a username on that. Oh, this one isn't installed. Now, you see this right here? If I wanted to install Finger, I could do this. So sudo apt get install Finger. Now, we're going to talk more about this in coming chapters, so don't worry overly about this. But this is just a text-based way to install that program. And password. There we go. Now to go through, it's installing all that, reading blah blah blah. Who knows what all this means? We don't care. Now if I do Finger, it comes up like this, and you can finger user, and you can find that information. Why don't they have this installed? It's a security issue. You shouldn't have Finger installed. Some of these utilities that you may find in the book, you may not find them on Ubuntu. And some of them are used by hackers to find out various information about you. Now this tells you what shell you're running. Maybe tells, I'm not sure if that would be very beneficial. Login hplib. That's interesting. But yeah, it's a security issue. That's why they don't have it installed. It's been about 5 years since I went to my security training, so I'm starting to forget some of what they use that for. W lists users on the system. Now, of course, if I'm trying to hack in, and some cases may have this disabled, such that the average user can't run it. Now, we're running this as a single user, so who cares? But the first key to me being able to hack in as you, to log in as you, steal your identity or whatever, is to find out what your user ID is. So, well, this is the first key if I get that. And then if I can find out where your directory's at. Now, here's pretty obvious, /home/user. That's maybe the second piece. Just need your password maybe, and then I'd have it. And the book goes over the differences in W, who, and finger, and I'm not going to go into that. Now write sends a message like write space user, and then you can type whatever, and Control D ends it. Now a message denies or accepts a message. Message Y to accept it, or message N to deny it. Of course, we don't have somebody we can send this to, so I'm not going to demonstrate it. And here's the PICO we've been talking about. Let me glance real quick here at the book, see if I kind of... At the end, they give you a tutorial on using Vim, if I'm saying that correctly. That's another way like PICO. I don't really like it, but I would recommend going through it and playing with it a little bit. Personally, I like this utility, but it isn't on every Unix system you'll run across. Most of them will have it, and you can always install it. But Vi is kind of a standard editor that's on every system. I think the the Linux boxes I've worked on where I've had control of it, though, first thing I did was make sure this got installed, because I hate Vi. I think there's a whole chapter on it in this book, which we'll talk about, but it's just a nightmare in my opinion. Anyway, that's the end of that lesson.